and welcome to Gale-Force Drone. In today's video, I'm actually going to be taking us on a little bit of a walk back to when I very first got started making money with my drone. If you follow Gale-Force Drone, if you follow this channel, you will quickly find out that my passion is to impart to you my experiences and guidance in how you can also take your drone out and begin making money with it. Now, there's the myth, there's the idea, there's the perception that you have to buy expensive drones and expensive equipment, and you need to go through lots of intensive training. And then, oh my goodness, there's the marketing aspect. You know, how do you sell your services? That's what I'm here to help you with. Okay, so circling back to the purpose of this video, again, as I said, I want to give you a quick look at some of those projects and talk a little bit about how I got the client, how I got the job, you know, how I went about performing the work, and then the actual deliverable, what did I turn over to the client. And then as I talk through that a little bit, I'm hoping to inspire you to dig a little bit deeper. I'm hoping that you will be encouraged and realize that, hey, wait a minute, I can do this. I can go out and get my Part 107. I can go out and get work. So going back to this first video, this is just to show you a sample of the output that I created for the marketing aspect of the apartment complex. Now, this was a new facility. They didn't need a rooftop inspection, so it was purely marketing. So I'll let you look at that clip now. So back in January 2017, a good friend of mine helped me build the website, Gale-ForceDrone.com, and we launched it. Now, I didn't know anything about SEO. Now, I come from a sales background, but I didn't know anything about online or digital marketing. We built the website, and I thought, great. Fortunately, I did get a hit. A property management company in Middle Tennessee contacted me from the website and said, hey, I read your story, I really like you. We're looking for a drone partner that we can use across our properties to do different types of drone footages. They were looking for, in some cases, they wanted footage, video footage that they could use for media and marketing. And then in some cases, they needed inspection type data. And again, not to get too deep into this, but when you are running a business like that, you need financial partners, and some of their requirements, some of their criteria by the banking required them to show periodic inspection type data, proving the quality and the condition of the assets. So enough on that. But again, I didn't know a whole lot about the technicalities of rooftop inspection. And again, I say that to you not because I'm proud of it. I say that to you to let you know that you can learn as you go into this. Fortunately, you have me to share some of these things, so you won't have to guess on everything. And it turned out it's exactly what they needed. They just needed visual inspection. They needed to be able to visually see the condition of the roof. And when I show you the clip, you'll see what it looks like. And now, one thing I will mention, by shooting it in 4K, I was able to give them the data. I gave them both video and photo imagery so that they could, you know, zoom in, they could, you know, really focus on areas that might look like they need concern. But again, they were thrilled with the output. They didn't need thermal. Now, these days, I would definitely offer thermal, but I'm just telling you that when you first go out, if you don't have a thermal camera on your drone, don't worry about it. In many cases, a visual inspection is all they need anyway. And so, okay, in this next clip, this one is actually pretty interesting. As I began to market my services, as I began to try to think of ways, how do I get my name out there? One of the very first things I did was I went to my local Chamber of Commerce. I just walked in the door. I had no idea how to sign up or anything. I didn't know what it would cost or if they would pay me, you know, didn't know. So I walked in, very nice people, and I said, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm launching this business, this drone business, and I'm trying to get my name out there. And I thought I should contact the Chamber of Commerce and see if there might be some, mutually beneficial. And they just welcomed me with open arms. And in fact, without going into too long of a story here, they actually introduced me to people in the chamber, you know, real estate agents, realtor companies, construction companies, architects, other photography companies. It brought me so many great relationships, so many collaborative relationships. I did a tremendous amount of work just by walking into the Chamber of Commerce and signing up. And by the way, I don't remember for sure, I think it was $200 a year for that membership. Now, the video clip that I'm going to show you right now was sort of a byproduct of walking into the Chamber of Commerce. The client was actually an event promoter who was doing a series of outdoor concerts there in the city, and he wanted a nice aerial video of the downtown skyline that he could mix into his marketing media. And so that's what this is. And then the following clip, I'm just going to let them play back to back, is for the same client, so I'll let that play. Now in this next clip, I'm going to show you, it's what we call construction maintenance. Now construction maintenance is very simple. As a company, as a builder, or you know, even the owner that's building the project, maybe they can't go on site, maybe they just want periodic visual update as to progress of the project, and so on and so forth. They'll hire a drone company to come in and do what they call construction maintenance. Now the cool thing about construction maintenance is it's periodic. It can be weekly or monthly, and you go in and you do basically the same shoot, and you give them the video. They can look at subsequent videos and see the progress. And in many cases they'll use this after the project's completed to show in their grand opening type presentations and things like that. I had that happen for a couple of companies. It was really exciting to be a part of those. But again, I really do credit that day I walked into the Chamber of Commerce and signed up as a member. It was the best thing I could have done. So I'll show you this clip now. Yeah, so you can see it's very simple, very straightforward. Just a visual look at the property. It was a mall being built at that time. Now in this next clip, this was a shoot that I did. I was not hired by this cellular company, but I did this on my own, more or less to promote the service. But the purpose is to show you some of the projects that you can do. Now I haven't written a blog on this, and in fact since then I've learned quite a bit about cell tower and RF frequencies and things like that that do get a little bit more technical in terms of the equipment that is needed. Again, this is something that you can keep in your bag of tricks. In case you're ever asked, you will at least know a little bit about it, and that you can do a visual. You can give them some really phenomenal imagery of the tower so that they can get a visual inspection. But at this time, unless you have the funding, it does get a little bit expensive doing an RF test. Where you have a particular type of sensors on your drone to perform RF testing. So I'll play you this clip and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, this next clip is more or less the same thing. It's a different tower, a little bit more robust tower that I shot. And again, part of my method to my madness is some dramatic footage, but to also show the agility of the drone and how tight you can get in and the maneuverability so that clients can see your capability. But again, we're probably not ready to do RF tower. If you are, fantastic. I'm just assuming that we're just getting started and may not have that equipment yet. Moving on to the next clip. so in this next clip, this is something that I'm actually really excited about. There's some new gear coming out right now as we speak that is quite affordable. Back when I created this clip, this is for Powerline inspection. Now I'm going to mention a couple of things here, and again, I'm trying to make this not be an hour-long video, but I'm going to mention that with Powerline inspection, you actually have two types. I'm going to encourage you to lean towards distribution power network as opposed to transmission. And a quick outline, a quick description, the distribution network is your local co-op. It's the local lines that you see along the street. Transmission are your massive towers that are interstate, nationwide. And there's reasons for me differentiating those two, because the equipment that you use to shoot a transmission is actually much more advanced and is much more expensive. But the good news is with distribution, you can actually do it with your Phantom 4, with your Mavic. There are kits that you can purchase that will give you the thermal sensor so that you can shoot thermal for a very friendly price. And actually, as of today, making this video, DJI just released their Mavic 2 Advanced, which is a thermal and visual sensor. It's a dual sensor drone. It's also got RTK, which is, global positioning. And I'll get into all of these technicalities in a blog, and I'll share that. But for now, just suffice it to say that equipment is coming out that is much more affordable for the guys like me and you who are just trying to get into the business. But I want to go back to my original premise. I always circle back because the basis, the foundation of my videos and of my blogs is, again, the guy that just bought his Phantom, the guy that just bought his Mavic, can he go out and make money with his drone? So in keeping along that line, if you don't have a thermal camera, don't worry about it. Again, for Powerline, especially for distribution, things that you can do, you can contact your local co-op. You can say, hey, look, if you ever need someone to do a visual inspection of a section of line, perhaps a storm comes through, there's always an opportunity for us to contact them. Now, be careful that you observe FAA guidelines and stay in line with that. You don't want to, hop the fence and go flying your drone just anywhere, anyway, because that can get you into some trouble, especially when it comes to hazardous areas or restricted areas or areas affected by a hurricane or an earthquake or something like that. So again, just be observant, be careful, be logical, and just go about things in a methodical way. So this little clip here just shows you a little bit of some footage that I shot. Again, this was just visual. This was using my Phantom 4. Okay, in this next clip, we're going to look at solar. Now, there are different aspects of solar, and there's also different inspections for solar. You have rooftop solar, you have large, vast, solar plants, solar farms. I have written quite a bit on this topic, and again, I'll refer to those articles in the description below, but take time to read through those. There are definite ways that you can go out with your Phantom, with your Mavic, and do visual solar inspection. Now, I will say for the sake of this video that most of the time, if not all of the time, the solar company is going to want thermal. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, there are products out there, there are kits, they're clip-on to your Mavic, clip-on to your Phantom, that are fairly reasonable. And then now drone companies are coming out with integrated drones. I'm talking about the Mavic platform. There are other companies as well, and I'll make reference to all of these in the description, but they provide a dual camera, dual sensor that gives you thermal and visual capabilities. So again, just watch this clip. This is some beautiful area that I shot. so I let that last section just play. You could see that that was a rooftop solar environment. And again, I actually did fly that for a client, and they were just looking for visual imagery of several solar locations for them to use as part of their website and different things. So there are those, again, those are purposes. It kind of falls into the category of marketing type video. And believe me, clients want that. And one thing that you have to be aware of, one thing that you have to educate your prospects is that if any of the footage that you are using, any of the drone footage that you are using for the furtherance of business, and that's FAA's terminology, for the furtherance of business, requires a Part 107 certification. So somebody's brother's uncle that has a drone, if you're using that for your website, if you're using that for your YouTube channel, if you're using that for any purpose of the furtherance of business, you must be Part 107 certified. So you have that in your pocket to share. I wouldn't be militant about it, but I would say I would use that as a strong, warning. And fines are, FAA is fining people for flying without proper certification. Okay, so jumping right into the next clip. So yeah, that clip, it was a very standard, very typical real estate type deal. Now, one thing that I mentioned earlier, as a result of my relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, I met several photographers, one in particular that I actually buddied up with on a couple of projects, and I would provide the drone footage to him, and then he would shoot the interiors of the house, get all of the still photos. So again, don't be shy. Call up your photographers. Hit Google, find photographers in your area and say, hey, I'm a Part 107 certified drone pilot, and if you're looking for drone. Now keep in mind, they're getting these calls every day, so you need to set yourself apart, but it can be done. Go out and get you some sample footage. Go out, ask someone that has a nice home, ask them if you can fly their property. Just do it. You can use it for promotional, you can use it for your marketing, and you can use it when you're talking to prospective clients. Alright, so yeah, in this last clip, this is actually the concert event that was happening where I was hired to shoot video footage of the downtown skyline, and then the park, and then of course the concert event itself. And then the last little clip, that was a corporate event where they were doing what they call dragon boat races there on the river. Now, I'll wrap up and say I think I've covered everything fairly well. But just a couple of things to mention when it comes to the footage that you've seen. There is a process for that as well, if you don't already know. I'll mention that I use Premiere Pro. I actually use all the Adobe products for my productions. But there's really cool things that can happen. You can actually outsource your video editing if that's not something you're interested in doing. There's many ways, there's more than many ways that you can go about getting your videos cut, your photos processed, and things like that. My point in bringing this to you is that while it does require real skill, you do have to study, you do have to pass your Part 107, you do have to get that certification, you do have to carry insurances, you do have to, it's a business, so you have to treat it as a profession. But the good news is it doesn't require a rocket scientist degree. You don't have to be wealthy and have $50,000 to fund your equipment. You can start out bare bones with your Mavic, with your Phantom, and start making money. So I encourage you, hopefully you find this good information. I ask you to please subscribe, please hit the notification bell, please hit the like button, Please share these videos if you know of anybody that's interested in working in the drone industry. Help me get the word out, because especially during these times with the pandemic and where futures are uncertain, maybe we're looking for other ways, maybe we're looking for alternative ways, maybe we're just looking for a side gig or a side hustle. Man, this is a great way to go about earning a few dollars to a full income. It just depends on you. It depends on how much you want to invest, how much you want to do. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate your time. If you've watched until now, you've really been a trooper. And so I applaud you for hanging in there with me. But hopefully you can see my passion, and I just want to impart that to you. God bless you. Have a great day.